Okay, so the reason why we started this part of the chapter with being able to read ordered pairs is for this lesson in particular. Now we're going to combine that with what we did yesterday, which is using the slope formula. But there's other ways they're going to ask us on the STAR test. So for instance, number 1, they want us to write the proportions of each line segment, and they mentioned segment AB and segment BD. So I'm going to go through and label what A, B, and D are, like what the coordinates are. So we practiced this the other day. A, the coordinate is 0, 5. That's how you write it as an ordered pair. B, the coordinate is 3, 2. So I write it as an ordered pair. And then D is 7, -2. So writing those first help a lot. But then we're going to combine that with what we did with slope formula yesterday. So if they want us to do A to B, okay, we are going to assume that A is x1, y1, and we're going to assume B is x2, y2. And if you remember from yesterday, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 2 minus y1, which is 5, over x2, which is 3, minus 0. And that's all we're doing. So we could take that further and type it in our calculator. That's great, and we can spend time doing that. But the main reason I do that this way is because on STAR test questions, this is how they want it. They just want it set up, and that's it. But now they want us to do the same thing from segment BD. So I'm going to ignore A, and I'm going to go to BD, which B we're going to assume is x1 now, y1, and we're going to assume D is x2, y2. So again, same setup. y2 is -2 minus y1, which is 2, and then x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 3. And that is it. Now, if we wanted to check our answers, we can type these in the calculator like we did the other day. So for instance, if I type in alpha y1, 2 minus 5, over 3 minus 0, I get -1. If I type in -2 minus 2 over 7 minus 3, I also get -1. So that's a way to check my answer to ensure that they're both correct. Let's do that again. So number 2, this time we have a different line. What throws people off is they have all these letters everywhere, but really the only ones we're focused on are E, C, and B. And this one's nice because they actually wrote the order pairs for us. So E is 5, 5, C is 7, 7, and B is 10, 10. Now, the first one they wanted us to do is EC. So E is going to be x1, y1. C is going to be x2, y2. And now all I know, the reason why I labeled that one 1 and 2 is because A was mentioned first, so 1, and C was mentioned second, so 2. Now we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 7 minus y1, which is, I didn't label that correctly, 5, over x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 5. So they look similar. But then we're going to do CB. So since CB is new, we're going to do C as x1, y1, and B as x2, y2. So this time CB, y2 is 10, minus y1, which is 7, over x2, which is 10, minus x1, which is 7. Now again, if I wanted to check my answer, I type these in like fractions and then see if we get the same answer. So the first one gives me +1. The second one also gives me +1. So that's how I check my answer, okay? Number 3. So new letters here, but we're just going to focus on TR and RP. Now this one I have to find my own points. T is -3, -3. R is 0, 0. And P is 4, 4. Now they want us to do TR first. So T is going to be x1, y1. And R is going to be x2, y2. So y2 is 0 minus y1, which is -3, over 0 minus -3 again. Now then, we're going to transition it, and we're going to be RP, which R is going to be x1, y1, and P is going to be x2, y2. Since y2 is 4 minus y1, which is 0, over x2, which is 4, minus y1, which is 0, or x1 minus 0. So then again, if I wanted to check my answer, we do 0 minus -3 over 0 minus -3. and we get positive 1. And then I do 4 minus 0 over 4 minus 0. And we also get positive 1. So those two check off. And it gets pretty repetitive. It's just labeling and getting the numbers right. So this time we're going to do D, E, E, F, and D, E, and F are already given to me. But we're going to do D as x1, y1, E as x2, y2. So if E is x2, y2, we're going to do 6 minus 2 over 6 minus 0. Then if we make EF the new points, E is going to be x1, y1, and F is going to be x2, y2. So y2 this time is 8 minus 6 over 9 minus 6. Again, if I want to check my answer, I type it in like a fraction. And then 8 minus 6 over 9 minus 6. So this one, I get 2/3 for the first one and 2/3 for the second. And that's how you check it. Number 5. Again, 3 points here, but this time they're given to me as well. They mention A, B first. So A is x1, y1, B is x2, y2. So I'm going to do y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is 9, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 0. Then BC is mentioned, so B is going to be x1, y1, and C is going to be x2, y2. Y2 is 1 minus 5, x2 is 6 minus 3. And again, when I type that in, 5 minus 9 over 3 minus 0, I get negative 4/3. And for the second one, y minus 5 over 6 minus 3. And I get negative 4/3, so they both check off. Last but not least, here they want me to use K, M, and T. So K is negative 4, 4. M is 0, negative 4. And T is 1, negative 6. Now, so if I do KM, K is x1, y1. M is x2, y2. Y2 is negative 4 minus 4 over 0 minus negative 4. MT, so again, if MT is the new x1, y1, and T is the new x2, y2, y2 is negative 6 minus negative 4 over 1 minus 0. And if I check both, just to verify my answer, I get negative 2 for the first one, and negative 2 for the second. So it checks off, and that's it.